I was thrifting with a sweet friend recently in Vancouver and found this Cal Shops vintage buffet, and I could not pass it up. Overall, it's in pretty great condition, just some blemishes, deep scratches, but it is solid wood, birch all the way through, and I knew that I could give this a new life. I started out the same way I do with every piece by giving this a deep clean. I just used a TSP cleaner on this, and as I was cleaning, I inspected for damage and started thinking about what I want to do with this piece. This hardware isn't bad, but it's definitely not the style I'm going for, and it's not something that sells, so it's gotta go. Here's a close-up of one of the drawers so you can see how old this finish is. It's totally failing and faded. This little corner is the only spot where there's any damage on this entire buffet. That'll be a quick fix. I removed the rest of the hardware pieces because while I have my Bondo out, I'll not only repair that corner, but also fill all the hardware holes. This base is so cool. It just has such cool cutouts and a great design, so I decided that I am going to definitely sand this back to raw wood. I'm using my Festool orbital sander with a thick foam sanding pad so that it can contour around all of the edges on this base. I'm also going to scuff sand the entire body of this with a 220 grit sandpaper. I'm going to change up the look of the doors by cutting out the insides, and I'll use something that you'll see a little bit later to update and give them a more modern design. I know I want to use a sleek black color on this, so while I have it flipped on its back, I'm going to just use a brush to paint on 2 coats on the fronts so that when I spray it, I can spray it with the drawers in. While that dries, I'm going to work on the top. I want to give this a wooden top, so I'm going to sand it down to raw wood. After a few seconds of sanding, I realized the carbide scraper would be a better way to go. So I spent a couple of minutes scraping off most of the finish before moving back in with my orbital sander to sand off the rest of the top. I'm going to use Old Smoky Gel Stain. I'm mixing two colors, Saddle Up and Wooden Barrel, to get a medium tone brown stained color. I'm mixing up enough so that I can stain the top and the base of this. You can see here that I wet the surface first and then brush on an even coat before wiping it back in sections. After I finished staining the top and the base, I taped them off so I could get ready for paint. Here I'm just filtering out this paint into my Wagner Flexio spray gun. I'm using a Melange 1 paint in the color London Black. Filtering your paint just ensures that you don't get any clogs while you're spraying. After I filter it and put my spray gun back together, I always test my spray pattern on a piece of cardboard first, just to make sure that my flow is how I want it to be before I start spraying onto the piece of furniture. Whenever you're spraying your furniture, you just want to use nice, even coats, not too thick to prevent dripping. And I always pass over by 50% each time to ensure nearly full coverage in the first coat. I let my first coat dry completely, light sand, and then do a second coat. I also painted the inside of the shelf section and added some heavy duty door liners just to make sure that this would have a nice lasting finish for years to come. Here is a sneak peek at the doors. I added this gold chicken wire detail, and here I am also installing new gold knobs. I know I say this with every piece, but I just love how this turned out and I want to keep it, but of course I won't. I don't have any room, just ask my husband. Be sure to like and follow my page and share it out if you know anyone who would enjoy this type of video. If you're interested in seeing any specific flip tips, please let me know, and also let me know in the comments what you think about how this turned out. How do you feel about the chic meets farmhouse with the chicken wire but with the gold accents? Do you love it as much as I do?